A Hollywood stuntman who moved to Georgia finds himself in the middle of a real-life plot twist.
Yeah, instead of living happily ever after, a family lives in a house full of frustration. Fox 5 I-Team reporter Randy Travis has already told you about the company that sold that house and joins us now with more.
That's right, Cincinnati. Yeah, the company's called Jar House. They sell an average of 75 flipped houses a month, listing them as, quote, as is. But the rules say when a seller knows something seriously wrong with the house, they can't keep it a secret. So how serious was this problem?
Everything back here is bad.
Even though Matt Thompson has made a career as a stuntman in the movie and TV business, when it comes to real life, he's not much for surprise endings.
We wanted to move in and not have anything to worry about, you know, and that's exactly what we didn't get.
Shortly after Matt and his pregnant wife moved to Newnan last year, their toilet started backing up. Turns out they had a broken septic tank system. Estimated cost to fix, $60,000. You have to pump this out like every other month or so?
Yes. Yeah, every month to 2 months probably, because it just fills up. There's no place for the water to go.
And this is how they have to live. They can't use their new washing machine. They've got to drive to the laundromat.
So here's, these fill up and we go at least once or twice a week.
It means quick showers, absolutely no baths. Even washing dishes can be a pain. The Thompsons try to use as little water as possible, so they'll wash and rinse here in the sink, then take the dishes and put them in here, but only to drip dry. That's right, their dishwasher has been relegated to a dish dryer. The Thompsons bought the home from a Sandy Springs house flipping company called Jar House, run by Zareh Najarian. He had bought the house a few months earlier, and look what that seller disclosed to Najarian. A warning about the septic system. Septic will become slow on several hard rain days, but will return to normal after a few days. If you had been told that there were issues with this septic system, would you have bought this house?
No, negative.
In his lawsuit against Najarian Capital, Thompson says the company failed to follow the law and disclosed known defects with the house, calling it deceit and fraud. They even have an affidavit from that previous owner saying, "It is my belief that Mr. Najarian was fully aware of the septic system issues we disclosed, as well as discussed at the time of the sale of the home." Najarian's company paid $205,000 for the property. He sold it to the Thompsons for $275,000.
The big thing is for me is that they knew about it.
Hey, this is as is, no disclosures. Hire an inspector.
Zareh Najarian told us his policy is not to disclose any known defects because they don't live in the houses they sell. They just flip them. He also suggested Jar House was actually the one who was misled because the seller didn't disclose the true seriousness of a $60,000 septic tank issue, instead saying the system will return to normal after a few days.
These are two completely different things.
What's the harm in just passing along the disclosure you got to the next guy?
Well, we deal with a ton of properties, and ultimately, it's at the end of the day, you can do so much, right?
Is it possible you didn't want to tell him because it would make it harder to sell the property?
No, you know, we're in this business for the long haul, and it's not like we're trying to shortchange people any opportunity we have.
The two sides are taking depositions in their legal dispute. Najarian told us he won't buy back the house. For this script, there seems to be no happy ending on the horizon.
Ultimately, I want this to be fixed and dealt with properly, and I want the people that are doing this to not do this to other people.
Well, Matt hired a home inspector before he closed, but a typical home inspection does not include a look at the septic tank system. Yeah, it costs an extra $200 for one of those inspections. Matt says he didn't know that he needed to, so he never hired somebody to look into that. Maybe if the disclosure had been passed on to him, would have had a roadmap to make sure that septic tank system was also checked out.
Yeah, wish she had spent that extra $200 now, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And tomorrow night, by the way, we're going to talk to a home inspector and ask him how realistic is it to expect a home inspector to find all the problems in a house when it's being sold as is, especially if there's mold behind freshly painted walls. And that's something we're going to talk about also tomorrow night. Family's very upset about that.
All right. We'll see you then.
Thanks,
Randy.
Randy.